Hey, Guthrie.
Welcome to the intersection between humans and technology. My name is Guthrie. I'm here with Susan,
Yeah, how are you?
and we are live.
We are live. Yeah.
By the way, I'm doing quite well. This is our second uh, time on Restream.
Yeah, our second time streaming our podcast.
Yep,
I did mention it on LinkedIn, so I don't know if anyone will show up
but that's fine.
and text us, message us. So if you are on here live, please feel free to
YouTube.
say hi and YouTube also. And if you have any questions or anything, go ahead and type them in. All right, Guthrie, today we had talked about a particular topic, kinda, and then it kind of broadened a little. So you want to introduce it, or you want me to introduce it, or what do you want to do?
You go right ahead. I mean, I have
Okay, yeah,
we basically have two topics that we're gonna kind of smush into one. So
we're gonna
I
merge
have
them.
one angle, and you have the other angle.
Yeah.
Okay.
So why don't we start with your angle, and then I can tell you why I was gonna
Okay.
merge it and what I thought the larger picture I thought it was part of.
I'm tired of passwords. I'm tired of passwords. When
Huge.
I'm really tired is typing in codes that come in on text messages on my phone. I'm over it.
So you mean you mean
It's
you're
2000
trying to log into a
when
particular app and you type in the password, but that's not enough anymore,
So yes,
right?
one, I'm tired of passwords. Two, I'm also tired. So I love two-factor authentication. Two-factor authentication is really important in today's modern ecosystem. For those of you who do not know, two-factor means that you have how many factors?
Two.
Two. Yes.
So
So
what does that mean?
the first factor would be a password, right? So that's
Okay.
one factor, one way to secure your identity or to prove that you
Yes.
are who you say you are is knowing a password.
Okay.
The second way then is just another way to make sure if someone has stolen your information from a hack somewhere, then they have a combination of your email and your password. That they can enter and to do this.
Um,
So,
yeah, hold on a second because you froze there. We're having a slight streaming problem.
oh,
So say again after you enter your password. The second part is
so the second part is then to have there are good ways to do two factor, and there are less good ways to do two factor.
yeah.
Um, one of the less good ways is actually to use a text message that comes to your phone. So the thought being, okay, you have to know a password, but you'd also have to have your phone nearby, and therefore send a text message to your phone. That then is much more
And
secure
then
because
they give you a code, and then you have to type in the code, and then you
yes,
get in.
yes, and then would have to have access to your SMS messages, which is
Although
actually pretty simple, and that's the problem.
I know that's the problem because if someone steals your phone, then they have it all. That way of doing
Yes.
a two factor didn't never made sense to me because if they steal your phone,
No, no,
they
hold on.
what?
Two factor is still way better than one factor.
Okay, I agree with
You,
that, but
you can spoof SMS stuff. It's not the best.
all
There
right,
are better ways to do it with a phone using an authenticator app.
yeah,
Generates
yeah,
a random code based on
yeah.
certain. I don't know.
All
We'll
right, but
simple. We
what?
won't get into
But you think that's kind of like barely okay. But what's the part you don't like?
like any of it. But you have to trade off the security with convenience.
Yes,
It would be really simple if there were no passwords ever,
right,
but that wouldn't be very secure.
right.
Or I'll take that back. It would be if there was no need to authenticate
Right.
yourself. Like
Right.
using Wikipedia. You don't need to type in a code. You just go to the
Right.
website,
Right.
right?
Right.
And it works. But of course, that's not very secure. And
Yeah.
so, in order to have a higher level of security, we sort of need that. There are new ways of doing such things, of which I will be a guinea pig soon.
Really?
Yes,
You're getting a chip implanted in your finger?
getting a chip. No, I'm not getting a chip, but
You're getting
I'm basically getting a chip.
a what are you going to do?
So there are new ways of doing this that are much more secure, and also so they're both more secure and potentially more convenient,
Okay.
and we can leave passwords in the dust.
Okay.
So, I'm one of these, and I am using. Getting. Um, I'm getting a. Did I freeze there?
You have been freezing on and off, but you're with us now.
Okay. Hmm. Let me. I'll keep going. How about this? You can, before I explain stuff. How about you talk about how this ties in with everything, and then I
While
will.
you try and do some tech stuff.
Yeah. Well, I'm just going to just to leave and come back. And
You don't think that'll interrupt our entire broadcast? Well, I guess he's going to try it and I'll keep talking. Yeah. So, one of the things that I think that um, people don't realize, well, they probably realize it, but I just think they don't think about it enough, is that, I'm in charge of my app and I want to make sure that when you use my app, it's secure. And so I build in this two-factor identification verification, or I make you, click on all the pictures that have bridges in them. And I do all that. And then, I'm more sure that you are secure and I think you will like that. But what you may not realize is if I have to go through that, if I want to access your app 3 times in a day, I have to do that every time. Now that gets really tiring. And not only that, you're not the only app I have to do this with. I have to do this with all my other apps. So it means that we spend, I don't even know, how much time and how many steps, but it adds up to a lot. You're just doing this all day long with all these different apps. It's um it's a pain. And I think sometimes that the people who put this together and design it and implement it, top of mind for them is not necessarily that this is combined with the other 10 or 12 apps you use. Or it's just like, well, that's just the way it is. But, Guthrie, it is an interesting point. I mean, how long have we had passwords?
yeah. Okay. So hopefully, I mean, we'll see. We'll see if this helps. It also might just be the not the best network connection, and
Yeah.
that's fine.
Okay.
So so the thing is, what I am going to do is I'm trying a big test, and I purchased two YubiKeys. YubiKeys.
YubiKeys. What's a
I'm
YubiKey?
not going to go. So a YubiKey, it is a small. Think of like a USB
Yeah,
thumb
I've seen.
drive.
I had these once. I had one of these once at the university. I think gave me.
Hmm. Well, I'm not going to get into the technical details.
Yeah.
You can go look them up. There
Yeah.
are certain. We'll just keep it really, really broad. There are
Okay.
certain new standards of security that one can have
Okay.
that uses a physical key.
Yeah.
Now, it's physical, but of course, it's a digital, and
Right.
so it is called a key, and it works in a couple different ways. There are a number of different ways you can do this sort of keyless authentication.
Well, it's
The
not
first,
keyless. It is a key.
sorry,
Keyed authentication.
passwordless,
Okay.
screenless. That's what I mean to say.
Fine.
Screenless.
Okay.
Okay. So
All
it's a
right.
very different type of interaction.
All right.
Um, so one of the ways is that it plugs in via USB.
So you actually take this device and you plug it in.
We keep it plugged in.
You just keep it
When
plugged in.
Yes, when it's hooked up, when you register your little device
Yeah.
to your account. So let's say you're trying to log into Outlook on the web.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you go to Outlook. Presumably, you type in your password,
Yeah.
though you may not need to, and you have your key plugged
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
The There's a little, in theory, one of the ways you can do it. There's a little light that lights up on
Yeah.
your key, and all you do is
Yeah.
just touch it,
Oh,
and you're
and
in.
then you're in.
And the thing is, right? If you'd have to be the key is connected through the chain, and
Yeah.
you have to be sitting there
You have to be physically present with the key.
with the key plugged into the machine that you're trying to
So
access the
if
browser.
someone is somewhere else trying to be you, it won't work.
It won't work.
That sounds better.
Um,
Although then that does mean that okay, so now I have another question from a user.
but before you get there, let me tell you about some of the other ways you could do it.
All right, what?
That's obviously a great first step, and that's
Yeah,
like, instead of typing in codes and waiting for messages and even a
right.
password, let's just say you only wanted to do one factor authentication. It's
Yeah,
probably more secure to
yeah,
use a key, and there are other brands, not just YubiKey, but to use this type of authentication than a password. So
yeah.
if you wanted to keep it really simple, you could just get rid of all your passwords and on tap. They also make an NFC version,
What is NFC?
not
National
NFT. We're
Football
not talking about
Na-
NFTs.
Na- National Football Conference.
NFC, near field communication.
Okay,
That NF, NFC, near field communication. Most phones have this feature. Um, it basically works like a little radio signal,
okay,
and when you put two NFC devices. Think of, it's not the same, but it's more similar than that. Think of if you ever go to a hotel and you have a little card and you don't put the card into the hotel. You just wave it near the
wave
door.
it near. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So that's the sort of the way it works. So you just take a key. You could have it on a keychain. You just put it near your phone, and then that it senses it, and you unlock it that way. So does that make sense?
yeah. There are some UX issues with this, but it's better. I think it's better. Well, I'll be real interested
But
to.
but I should also say you can have multiple keys.
Yeah,
You
well,
could have a
you
bunch
need
of
them.
keys tied to it,
You'd
right?
have
So
to
like
have them all over the
one on your
place.
keychain, one on your laptop, one by your
One,
desktop,
right, one in the
and you
living
could
room, one in
authenticate.
your office,
Yeah,
one in the kitchen.
it seems a little unnecessary.
Well, just because it's another thing I have to make sure I have on me as I go from room to room.
Well, yes and no. Um, I only bring it. Let's just assume that you don't that there's a that as a backup you could get like a text message to your phone if you needed to.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
like
yeah.
if you're in a different room, you could just
I
do
mean,
it.
okay. You live in a condo, and it's a very nice condo in Chicago. It's not
Uh-huh.
huge. So if your key is over there versus over there, not a big deal. I live in like a 2-story house. I'm going to be upstairs and I'm going to want to do something, and the key will not be with me. The key will be downstairs in my office. And so, it means that I'm going to have to either, right now as I go from room to room, I'm carrying my laptop and I'm carrying my mobile, and so now I'm going to have to do my laptop and my mobile and the key. It's like another thing. I'll just get to the point where I wear it around my neck
You
all
said
the
to
time.
embed it in your hand.
Well, that's sometimes. I mean, I'm not usually a fan of that, but it gets to the point where I might be willing to do that if it would mean I didn't have to do all this stuff. But yeah, no, I'll be really curious to see what you think.
Well,
And
hold on,
what I was
hold on.
you are
You're
doing a lot of interrupting today. Go ahead. What?
you are assuming that you're upstairs and you can remember the passwords to all of your stuff. I've done enough tech support to know that remembering the passwords to all your accounts is not exactly easy either.
That's true. But for the stuff I use a lot, I know the
Okay.
passwords. So I yeah, I mean, yeah, one would think that if we can land rover on Mars, we could have come up with something better. It's been a really long time that this has been going on with the password stuff. So I, I'm I'm hoping. I think the key thing is interesting, and I definitely will want to revisit with you and see what you think. Now, can are we ready for me to merge this into the larger topic I wanted to talk about?
Well, I as a segue, I think it
Yeah.
does depend on the device you're using. If you're using a desktop with a bunch of
Yes.
USB slots that can just sit there and it's plugged
Yes.
in all the time, great.
Yes.
If you're using a mobile phone, don't forget that phones actually have kind of a lot of passwordless authentication built into them
Yeah.
between fingerprint readers and face
Right.
scanners and that whole thing. I wish that more phones would um, have two-factor authentication as like like the second factor could be like a random pattern you move your phone in because they have accelerometers, right? So it could be like jiggle your phone up and down twice, left and right twice,
That's my pattern. Yeah.
just like a random pattern. Just follow the pattern on the screen. Do
Oh,
do
oh,
do
it
your
changes
phone,
every
right?
time. Okay.
Right? Like, there'd be a way to
I wouldn't
that
mind
would
doing
prove
that.
our whole physical device. So if you're using a phone, I do think you have a lot more three-factor authentication options. But certainly, yeah, ideally, the ideal scenario is you're at a desk, you have your little USB hub, and you can just have your key plugged in.
Yeah.
Where you have the NFC. Oh my God, I'm gonna say NFT like a million times. You have the NFC key nearby. You just take your phone, you put it on your desk, and you're good to go. I know, for example, you could carve out a little slot in your desk and put it there. So all you have to do is like just wave your phone over a spot on your desk, and then you would log into all your stuff.
Yeah. But but let's talk about context and environment. You don't want to talk about
No,
context.
no, go ahead. Yeah, I'm waiting.
It because it all a lot of and I'm going to go beyond the password and the keys and all that and just talk in general about this whole idea of user experience and context and environment, because I think in the UX world and the user experience world and in the human factors world, if you hear someone give a talk on the important user experience principles to keep in mind, right? Almost always they're going to say, and it's very important that you take the context and environment into account. It's just like one of these principles that are talked about, and we all agree, absolutely, that's important. And then a number of times I see that just sail right on by and was not taken into consideration. It happens a lot. It's really easy to forget how critical context and environment are to all this. So, for example, what I was just talking about. Yeah, this all sounds great, except I'm using these passwords on four. I have four different devices. No, five, six, seven
7, 8.
different devices in my home. I mean, I have my desktop computer, which is what I'm on right now, in my office. and then I have my laptop, and then I have
Yeah.
my phone, and
Yeah.
then I have a computer upstairs that's my music studio computer, but I still got to get on things on that. And then I have a laptop that kind of controls my sound system. That's in a different room, and then I have two TVs, each of which sometimes need passwords. So it's like I'm not in just one space, and I'm not just using one device, and so now maybe I'm an edge case, and that's unusual for people to have that many devices. Maybe that's true, but it still could happen. But let's even go beyond that. I will tell you, can I tell you a story? Can I? Once upon a time, back in the day, okay? And I've had these stories so many times. When when we could travel more and make site visits more, but even when we could, we didn't. It's People don't do it enough. I was working on, uh, like I said, there's so many examples, I don't even know which one to start with. I was working on a medical device, and this medical device um, uh, was one where you were going to be able to take a device and put it over a patient who had a device implanted in them. Let's say a defibrillator or something like that. They pacemaker. They had a device planted in them, and you had a wand that you could put over the device, and it would give you information on the device and information on the heart and so on. Um, and we were designing and piloting, new software and a new device and so on. So the idea is the nurse or the doctor would place the wand over, and it would read it, and then they could, look at the screen or actually get it printed out to hand to the patient to take home with them. Here's what's going on, and etc. Sounds great. We were in the process of designing it and prototyping it. And I said, let's make a visit to the clinics where this is used. And a few people on the team said, well, we don't have to do that. We've done that before. We did that in the initial research. We know all about the clinic environment. And I said, yeah, but not with this particular device. Well, eventually, surprisingly, I won out and we made some clinic visits. And you know what we found out in the clinic? The printer, of course, is not in the room. How many times have you seen a printer in an exam room at a clinic? Like, there's no printers in there. So every time you did this, the practitioner is going to have to, know which printer it got sent to. Is going to have to walk down the hall and going to have to get, it's like, I wonder how practical that is going to be. And that hadn't really come up, and how much are people going to use this? How much are they going to print it out and give it to the patient if they have to go walking down a long corridor every time? Is that really going to happen? What if there isn't any paper in the printer? It's just like on and on. So the context, the environment. In another medical example that we had, uh, the this was a software that was going to be used by the cardiologist during the surgery. During surgery, they're in surgery, and there's a screen and stuff comes up on the screen. Well, okay. Has anyone taken into account the fact that when you're in an operating room, the lighting is really different? The lighting is really bright right where the surgery is, but over there, where the nurse is monitoring on the screen, the lighting is very dark and it's not as bright. So, has that been taken into account? All right. Now, so maybe you're saying, Guthrie, well, okay, this is medical, this is special, but it's not. I've seen this over and over. I've seen situations where something is designed and it appears on a board way up there, but but the board is really, really high. That means that everybody's going to have neck strain, or situations where in order to use it, you have to hold your phone up like this. Well, how long do you do that before your arm gets tired? Or situations where I had another, where I love the situations where, well, just call if this happens, but you're in an airport and it's really noisy and there's background announcements. And so every time you're trying to listen or talk, it, it's not able to understand your speech because of all the background noise. It just goes on and on and on. And I always think, well, here's an example of someone sitting in their cubicle at headquarters or in their home office, designing this and not paying enough attention to what's going to be the true environment when this happens.
This reminds me of we know someone who is a consultant, and what he does is he specializes on in the field uh, research.
I love it when you do this because now and don't name names because
No,
we're
I
trying.
wouldn't.
But I'm sitting here going, wait a minute, I wonder which person is. Okay, keep going, keep going. I'll see if I can figure out
So
who this
he
is.
told a story. He was working with an airline baggage control, like on the tarmac with the guys moving the luggage, and like really like this is what their day. They
Guthrie, you
put
are freezing again. You are freezing again.
luggage
It's interesting. You freeze right when you're
on.
in telling a story, and then we lose the story. All right, he's on the tarmac.
So people are on the tarmac, and they like when you're putting luggage in, there's a lot of turning. You're picking up luggage and you're turning, and so the people who are moving this luggage, they just have these crazy strong core muscles. Like you have to have like really strong core because you're twisting. It's a lot of lifting and twisting, and it's just something you never think about unless you were just on the tarmac doing this stuff. So I mean, that kind of research, that it's really interesting if you're
Yeah, and it
actually like really getting into the weeds there.
yeah. So um, you have to you have to go visit. You have to visit the places where this thing is going to be used, and just watch. And then you'd say, well, we interview the no, that's not enough because even if you interview people, if you're not watching them out when it happens, they may forget to tell you something. They may not realize this, something about what they're doing is important. It's just so easy to overlook the context and the environment and the situation unless you go and watch. And we talked a couple weeks ago, Guthrie, we did a podcast on how the pandemic has influenced UX work. And we said you're not going out as much. But so it's worse now than usual. But I will tell you that pre-pandemic, when everyone was traveling, it still was bad. I don't want, let's not just say, oh, as soon as we can all travel a lot, we'll be better about this. No, we're never very good about this. So, and I don't know how to make this a higher priority. Um, I'm not sure how to make it a higher priority. How do you do that? How do you get people to make these site visits, to go out in the field,
It's just a matter
not
of
just
wanting
do
to spend a
interviews?
bunch of money doing UX research, and that's always an uphill climb. But it's
Right.
so. But yeah, that's it's. I think it's just that simple.
Yeah.
It's like, are like it's the same argument for planning on doing any other kind of user testing, user research, or anything. And
Yeah.
there's
Are
usually
you
just a
willing to
budget for
spend
it.
the money?
So that's what happens.
So one thing I would recommend then is when you're putting together your plans for your your UX work for a particular project, just from the very beginning, build in the site visit. Just build it in. Just assume you're making at least one round of site visits, even before, especially before you start design or redesign, I would say.
Uh,
Now, why are you laughing?
just good luck budgeting time and hotel and travel and being out of the office for a week, and
I,
I guess
do
so.
it. Just do it. If may not be a whole week, may not involve hotel. There might be someplace you can go on a day trip. Might be.
Might be. Might
Yeah,
be.
but okay. Think about, yeah, no, I'm not going to buy it. I don't buy it. I
Okay.
think it's just, I
Okay.
do agree it's priority. But you know what? How, back again, go back to the days when we traveled. And you used to have jobs that had a lot of travel in it, right? Can you tell me that, oh yes, the companies I worked for,
Has been known to
all the
happen.
travel was really necessary. There was nobody ever did any travel that at the end
Oh,
of it
hold on.
anyone
I'm
would
just
say, well, we probably didn't need to
A
do
lot of
that trip.
companies do not make UX spend their highest priority. So it's all about budget and allocation and money. And a lot of UX departments are operating on modest budgets for what they have. And they have to get all their budgets approved. Or
Well,
they don't even have a
I
budget
know.
and they're a small slice of like a engineering budget or something. So
Well,
I
yes,
I
I
agree with you, but
what is the use of developing new technologies if when you put them out there they're going to fail? You just that's a waste of money. Oh, let's not spend $1,000 and go ahead and implement the $1 million thing, and then it has problems because we weren't willing to spend $1,000 on a site visit. Yeah. Well, I know that's the way people think, but I just think it's really critical. If for nothing else, peace of mind to know that you're not going to be surprised. Because you do all this work and then you find out something about the field and you go, uh oh, uh-oh, that's not going to be good. And then you have to redesign it. What if you knew ahead of time? Wow, then you wouldn't have gone through all this work. You would have been able to design it
I think
more accurately the first
sometimes
time.
people are also scared of what they'll find.
They denial, where everyone's in denial. If we go out there, we'll find out that not only is there something about the environment we have to think about, we'll find out that nobody wants this product.
We just came out with a much better way for everyone to do this task. And then you go out there and everyone's like,
Yeah,
yeah,
we
we
don't
just
want
want
it.
to do it the old way. Can we just enter things? We don't want an automated process. We just want to enter it manually.
Now there, all right. So that could be a topic for another podcast, or maybe we can tackle it here. Um, why don't people want to change? That's, it's like, what? Why? Yeah, from a psychology and behavioral economics viewpoint, Guthrie, why is it that people just, well, actually, it's tied together with not only denial, but yeah, change. Why is it that people get so stuck?
About anything?
Yeah, I have a particular cognitive bias in mind that explains some of this.
Well, you go right ahead.
Well, I'm thinking about the sunk cost fallacy.
Sure.
Do you want to explain the sunk cost fallacy?
Uh, if you don't, okay. For those of you who don't know what sunk cost is,
Or what the sunk cost fallacy is?
yeah,
We'll remind. You can remind them. Do you want me to
it's
do it? I can try to
resources,
do it.
time, money, whatever uh, on a project, whatever it is, um, it's really hard to let that loss go because you feel like you've put in a lot into it and you don't get a lot at the end of it, and it feels
So,
like you've wasted, which you have, but it's not a cost that you can recoup, right? It is
or
sunk.
you can at least stop waste. So you don't stop. You instead of it's like, oh, this isn't working. We should stop. It's like, well, no, but we've already spent so much money. Let's just keep going and see if we can make it work. So then you just like keep spending more money, even though you know this is the wrong way to go. But you just can't get yourself to stop because you've invested so much so far. I mean, and this applies to all kinds of things like software development projects, bad relationships, right? I mean, it's just
Yeah.
like, well, I've been with this person for 3 years. Um, I don't want, did I just waste 3 years of my life? Yes. So stop wasting, don't waste the next 3 years. So you just stay with the person because, well, we've already been together all this time. Yeah. It's like, yeah, sunk cost fallacy. People just unwilling to change course because they've already invested so much. And I, that happens so much with technology projects, doesn't it? I
Yeah.
mean, I've seen it so many times. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
then, of course, they eventually do end up abandoning it, and they lost much more, much more than they did before. I remember one time, a long, long time ago, I was working with a client who was having financial problems. The business was, and for whatever reason, the I don't know if he was the CEO or it was a small company, but he turned to me. I was there doing just some consulting on some UX stuff. I was, just a consultant. But one day in some meeting, he turned to me and he said, "What should we do?" And I'm like, "Okay, I am not an expert in this industry and I'm not a business expert, but he turned to me and asked me, and I actually thought I'm good. Yeah, my honest opinion, uh, get out of denial, accept what's going on, take action now. It will only get worse if you wait." Which was actually maybe not a good thing to do because shortly after that they shut down the company and I lost the consulting project. And it's possibly because I had encouraged him to do it. But he asked, and that was the right because he was. If the company is failing, why lose another couple of $100,000 going on for a few more days? But anyway, all right, Guthrie. Any other topics you want to do? And do you want to talk about any of the our new and upcoming stuff that we've been doing and announcing and is available for people?
Okay, you go right ahead.
Okay, so just I guess a reminder to people. Well, obviously we're doing these, and we do these every Wednesday at noon Central Time, Central CST, which is U.S. Central Time. If you want to join us, and these are um, it's a LinkedIn Live as well as being streamed live on YouTube. Um, we have two immersive courses coming up, one in April and one in July. If you're interested in that, you can find out information about that. We've been posting on LinkedIn, and also you can go to our website, www.theteamw.com, and learn more about that. I just posted recently, Guthrie, that we reminding people that may not know that we have a lot of courses that we teach, and we offer licenses. If you want to teach those courses in-house, you can contact us, and info@theteamw.com if you're interested in licensing any of our courses. And then I also always want to mention, because I don't think we mentioned enough, that we have a lot of online video courses that you can access. And
Live courses.
pardon?
Live courses.
We have live courses. We have, and some of those online video courses are free, right?
Mhm.
So always something to keep in mind for people who are looking for interesting free stuff. Correct? Correct. All right. Anything else?
Yeah, I just hoping to fill some more seats.
Oh
April
yeah,
and
the workshops. Yeah, through the April workshops, we have seats open, and we have. I hate this phrase, but I'm going to use it anyway. Early bird, early bird discounts. According to the research, Guthrie, we are not supposed to talk about early bird discounts. We are supposed to frame this as there is a penalty for registering late.
yeah, maybe. I think we talked about this
That's
last.
what the research shows. I just can't. It's really hard for me to talk about giving people a penalty.
There's
I,
probably externalities.
I don't know. Anyway, there is an early bird discount if you register before March 15th for the April course, and I think June 15th for the July, June 1st for the July courses. All right, that's it for today. Oh, wait a minute. I want to say one more thing. If you guys out there watching and listening have ideas of topics you would like us to cover or guests you would like us to have on, please message us, email us, or send us a message. Um, and we'd love to hear your ideas. All right. Thanks, Guthrie. Good luck with your
Bye.
passwords. Bye.